So, as some of you will know, 10 years ago this month, I was given the unfortunate news that I had stage 2 prostate cancer as a 41-year-old male. That was difficult in itself to deal with, but not life devastating. It didn't hold me back much, only till I recovered from obviously the treatment that was to come in the October of 2015. But as you may or may not know, for the last 7 years, I've had to deal with the fact that the remission I was in for 3 years post-treatment stopped when the PSA blood results, that's prostate-specific antigen tests that I have to have every 3 months, identified that instead of the PSA, so the actual prostate antigen, reducing in volume in the bloods because I had no prostates. That was the treatment to remove prostate and cancer. Those bloods showed that the level was rising. Now, obviously, that meant that despite being told by histology after they cut up the prostate post-surgery that I had a clear surgical margin, which is basically technical term to say that there was always an area of tissue taken from around a tumour to ensure that, where possible, they can contain the cancer. And then they test that for cancerous cells, and under the testing they said that there was no cancer, so yay. Obviously 3 years after that it was boo, because the bloods were rising, and that's where I started CBD then, because I didn't really want to have another fight. So for the last 7 years I've been taking CBD, and although it's slightly risen from those early days 7 years ago, it's still a negligible amount really, but it's not going down. It has been rising and rising, but very slowly. Sadly, on Friday, during a attendance to the 66 Days to Success Accelerator course that I was part of, thanks Vested and Francesca Hodgson and Adam Smith from HelpBank, I got the call to say that the blood test I'd had on the Thursday last week had identified that my bloods had jumped up again in less than 2 months from the previous bloods, and I'd hit an internal trigger marker to be referred back to the oncology team at Edinburgh. So as you can imagine, my weekend has been spent scratching my head and wondering what in hell I'm going to do next. Now, thankfully, there's no discussions about what treatments, although that's already been talked about. In the past, when I first moved to Scotland 3 years ago, radiotherapy is what they want to do to me. It's not what they're going to do to me. That will be a very last resort for me to have devastating treatment. But it's really just scratching the head of how we're going to get around this from a financial point of view, because I'm trying to run a business and set that up and scale that business to become self-sufficient. But I also work. I don't get sick pay. I don't want benefits, but I may have to do. So it's been a tough weekend for me and the fiance, and I needed to speak to my GP, which I did this morning. And that discussion, having time to think this weekend, doing things I like I went swimming yesterday with my friend at a local place down the road called Carrick Bay, and we went in freezing cold water. It was great. We had coffee and cake afterwards, which is great, and we had a good gossip and a talk. And I spoke to my GP, and it's not doubled as the PSA results, but it obviously has gone up. Now, it could be that this is, as history has proven, a little bit of a spurt, where it rises and then it plateaus for about 4 years at a certain level and it doesn't move anywhere. So then I have another 4 years before I actually have to then think about treatments. It could be that actually it's growing rapidly. We just don't know. So we'll have to go through, well, not we'll, I will have to go through various staging scans, so PET scan, CT scan, MRI scan, probably another nuclear bone scan. But it doesn't necessarily mean because of that we need to go to the next stage of treatment. This is just to see if they can find anything on those scans, because the last time they scanned me 3 years ago, despite the fact I was dealing with recurrent prostate cancer, I wasn't in remission anymore, they still couldn't see anything on the scans. And if they can't see it, they're not treating it. And I would much prefer, particularly as I am the founder of Barbera's Botanicals, and I do much prefer preventative measures rather than curative, and natural remedies rather than pharmaceutical remedies. We'll try those first. We're going to do a trial of soursop, black seed oil, oregano oil. I will be trying all of these proven natural alternatives before we go anywhere near a radiography treatment program. So that's where I'm at the moment. It's not great news. I wish it wasn't. I wish the surgery 10 years ago had done what I was told it was going to do, but it didn't. And hey ho, here we go. That's what you got to deal with in life, haven't you? So just keep up to date with us. I will keep you updated with various blogs on YouTube and little videos like this, and follow me on my Instagram page at Brian Caldwell White, or the business at Barbera's Botanicals. That's the same for my Facebook page. My LinkedIn is the same at Brian Caldwell White, and my YouTube channel at Barbera's Botanicals. And if you are so wishing to, I'll be very grateful if you wanted to contribute to my crowdfunding program. I'm trying to raise funds in anticipation that at some point I may have to give up work for treatments, which could be anywhere between just 4 weeks and 6 months of not working. And the money I'm trying to raise is to get this business to a position where it's earning money, so then if I do go on the sick, it doesn't make any difference because the business is just making money for us. So we don't have to worry then of mortgage, gas, electric. So I would be very grateful if that was to be the case. You can find the link to my crowdfunding page on my various social media platforms, pinned to the profiles, Instagram, Facebook, and my LinkedIn. Thanks for listening to me having a rant about my prostate cancer. I know most people would like to just hear good news all the time, and it's not devastating, but it's not great. Have a good evening, everybody. Bye.